Hey, everybody. Hey, Diane. Hi, Tobias. So we're just going to let everybody funnel in here for a couple minutes, and then we'll just begin. So let's just get to it here. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. So, there's some things that we should probably go over. Just start throwing out names. Usually when we do Sundays, as far as scans and things like that, that's fine. But I'm more interested in just what you guys want to kind of go over, guys and girls want to go over, so that I have an understanding of what you're thinking. I mean, the one thing that really stood out to me looking this week was just the XLF and how that's doing. Look, I'm not a huge buyer of these stocks because it takes a long time for them to move, but this whole sector is starting to shape up really nicely, right? You broke your wedge line here. You're above your 50 and your 21 day. Okay. And now you're trying to get above this level right here. Right. And if you can get up and close above that, this will probably go. And you're starting to see a lot of those names that are starting to move. Okay. And, some of those names, maybe they continue to go, maybe they don't, but you're definitely starting to see that whole space. If you look at this whole space, it's all starting to get momentum. So that might continue here. Something to consider. So, hey, buddy, how are you? Go Niners. You guys have a good team this year. So, but, that's really what I wanted to go over. There's some requests that I got a little earlier today that people asked me about. I'll just go over a couple of them. Well, so this DATS, to me, look, I think it's missed here, right? Broke above this, you really need this to pull back now. If it doesn't pull back, well, this was your break right here, right? And then you went and that was it. And you could probably get up to this level, but I'm not so sure I want to buy it with this wick right here. I'm not so sure that I want to get involved in that one just yet. V I was asked about, and I'll just point it out, this is what you were looking for. You were looking for it to break under the 200 like it did when we were talking about it here, then see where it was going to go and then get above it here. And so you're probably good now. The chances of this breaking the 200 day and then rolling back through that are probably very minuscule. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that. So Dpst, let's take a look at that. Dpst. So, but this is one of those financials that can really move. It's like a 3X regional bank ETF. This can really move. So it's interesting. You see where we closed? So this level's been there since back here, right? And we just left it in. And look at where you're stopping at. So it's kind of interesting. I would argue that if you're going to get above this level, you're probably going to flip. You're probably going to run. So, and what I would look at here, Diane, and we'll go through it. You kind of have a wedge line right there too, don't you? So you have two pieces of the puzzle sitting right there. And then if we go and take a look here, you're clearly above. I don't know how that's your point of control down here, but wow. But you're right on your VWAP, which is right here. So you're above that, and you flipped it and you stayed above it. So this could go. I mean, if you start moving, you really start moving, you can get up to here, 239, 240 up here. I mean, it depends, but this does have potential. This does have a lot of potential to move. And you have to understand that if you're playing this, you're being aggressive. This is an aggressive position. It has big swings. So just FYI. SBLK. So SBLK, these carriers are great companies when demand's there. You have 70. What do you have? 70 container ships sitting in California right now. So it's insanity what's going on here. But these kinds of drops, when you see this, they're usually pretty overextended, right? Wasn't an earnings, it was something else. But this wick line up here is definitely an issue. I mean, look, you can see this line right here. Hold on, I'll just put it in. I mean, every time you try wham, wham, right? You're just not getting above it. You know, you got to flip here and go. So I'd want to see this above the 21 day. You've already gap filled, right? From here to here, you've already done the gap fill. You've already done that easy trade. And there really wasn't much money there. You've held the 50 day, and I like that. I like when you can hold the 50 day. Like that's really what you want to see. You know, but take a look at that. I mean, get above the 21 day. RTX. So let's go through RTX. So RTX right here. You're pretty much lying right in there. I mean, these are wicks, so you can use them as rejection and use these levels. I mean, you need to flip that. So this usually moves as a defensive stock. I'm actually surprised it's moving up, you know, with the news. Like I'm kind of surprised that it's actually moving with financials. You know, this very rarely has a huge move. It's pretty rare to see something like this, for it to go from 50 up. It just is. It's just very, very rare for this to do that. So if you look at this weekly, you know, this is just what it does. This is, you know, this, you sold down to nothing and you're bouncing back, but just consider that. I mean, it's not something that you bought. Look, Raytheon's something you buy and you forget you own, right? I mean, if you look at it on that standpoint, and you look at it out months and you looked at it like this, it's just, you just buy it and forget you own it. I mean, that's really what you do with it. It's never going away, right? I mean, you're never going away between here and here, but you do have to realize that you could have drawdowns where you lose 10 years of gains, but it's just one of those stocks, Diane, you buy and you forget that you own. So go Cowboys. You're playing the Eagles tomorrow night, Josh. Actually, you guys have a good team. ATER. So you're seeing is this wedge line here. Let's blow this up. Some focus on it. So what you're seeing here on ATER is you're seeing this wedge line, right? So, but you're holding that 1130 and you hit here twice. That's not a coincidence that this is lower low or a higher low than this bar. So you're shaping up here. So if you don't want to wait for this wedge line and you want to play ATER, this is what you would do. You would just wait for that to pop above there. And where's the 8-day sitting in here? Yep. So that's what you're looking for. Get above that 1350 and then you can see if it pushes. Actually, I'm even going to set an alarm on that, because that is something that could totally just go and retest up here. I like that trade, actually, swing. Bumble, BMBL. So Bumble, I mean, you tried to go, you failed. We know this is basically like an evening star pattern. You broke here, then you came down. It is what it is, right? I mean, I'm not crazy about this. It's not something I'd be rushing into. If you're in this, I'd be careful that if you break the 50-day, I'd be out. See how you held it a couple times? But I wouldn't be rushing into this. MGNI. So MGNI, I wouldn't go near. I mean, you're just basing. You could be looking at this cross, but I'm in a base, so that doesn't really do a lot for me. I crossed here. When you're trendless, moving averages lose a lot of their steam and lose a lot of their ability to forecast how things are going to go. TRMR. So Tremor International Ltd. I mean, I don't see you going anywhere, right? I don't see this going anywhere. I mean, you got a lot to get through. I'd let this work itself up a little bit before I get involved with this, unless you know a reason to be in this. It's too sporadic, and you're not really, there's not really much upside. Yeah, I like it. I like Ford a lot. I think Ford looks great. I really do. I like Ford. You did exactly I thought you might touch it, but you didn't. You got near it, and then it was just a hot potato. Now you're flipping the 50. Now you're making a higher high. And again, as I always show this chart, for those that are looking for long-term plays, this is a 21-year break. Okay. Broke out, evening star, breaks down, doesn't complete it. And this is the first, if we finish here, this is the first month that will be an inside month and hold, right? And that'll be this week. And then a higher high above that would be an outside month. So this could go again, right? But it's one of those companies you buy and you forget you own. Hey, Zorro, UPST. So, this obviously is just done exceptionally well, right? We've been in and out of this so many times. What's striking to me is that it's just still hanging in there. It's still hanging in there, and it's still trading up. And it's kind of striking that we just haven't had one of those days like this where we just, you drop 20, 30 points. I keep waiting, and we just don't have those. Like, here's your long-legged doji, and then it broke out. Like, that's not really what I was expecting, frankly. And, it doesn't matter what I'm expecting. This is what happened. But now you have these levels up here where you have to start being careful, and you're not seeing the big moves. So could this go again? Absolutely, it could. I just think you're so far off any base that, you have to really start second guessing, because you're setting yourself up, right? Like, when you start getting that high off of these lines, you really start setting yourself up for a long way down. But right now, it just looks exceptional. I mean, it really does, and it's acting very well. There's not much to say negative about it. DXCM, Google, and Amazon. I wouldn't do anything but short-term trades in UPST with where it is now. I think it's going to be very difficult to say you're going to buy here and hold. DXCM has this level, and we keep bumping our head on it. So until that changes, I wouldn't go near it. Google's going to have an interesting day tomorrow. Google has some kind of cloud sharing business. I don't fully understand it, but they changed their revenue payout this weekend from, they were getting 20% on it, and they changed it to 3%. I'm not sure if they did that because of what happened with Apple or not, but you could see weakness on this tomorrow. And if you do see weakness down to this 50-day, it's not the worst idea to start a position there. That's really where I would be a buyer. Anytime this thing gets to the 50-day moving average, that's where I would pick it up. Other than that, and then just buy it, and you just have to sit with it. You almost have to buy it and then hope it goes to the 200-day, and then you buy more of it. I mean, it's really very hard to argue with this company and trade. It's just literally a cash cow. And, that's really what you're seeing here. And you're just going to keep rallying and go. But anytime you can get down to this level, I think it's worth buying. I wouldn't buy it here. You're kind of in the no man's land, and you really don't respect your breakouts that much. You usually break out like here and then pull back. Amazon, Amazon's having some issues, and I don't know how this is going to end. I don't know if they're going to get to a point where they become union, they become non-union. I'm not so sure what happens to this company, but it's definitely an issue. Now, that said, here's your wedge, right? And you're all tied in right here. Wedge line, moving averages. But look, clean this up. There's your break, right? And you're trying to get over it. So if you get rid of all that, and this was your former break, and now you have another one up here, but you still have to get through this level, and you've been unable to do that. You did bounce here and hold, right? So it does give you some support, but it's not something I just be rushing into here. Let me just see here. Where are we? Affirm. Let's go Bumble. We did. Hey, Isaiah. Affirm, INB, and let me just, I feel like I jumped a couple. Facebook, JP Morgan. I feel like I jumped a couple. If I missed you, let me know. Facebook, look, this was a huge bounce. I didn't expect it. I expected this to fall off a cliff. The CTO resigned and it bounced. I was short. I covered when it got above this bar. That was my trade. It didn't work. It's just staggering to me how well this company did on that news. That was very, very surprising. I thought for sure it would break, and it just didn't. So that's, just take into account. Now, what do we do with this information? We have to wait and watch and see. If you want to buy it, buy it. I'm not buying this with the way that this is shaping up. This leads me to believe that we're going to rally up and then come back down. Maybe we hold that 340 level. Maybe we don't. But I'm not rushing in to own that. That's for sure. JP Morgan, Joshua. So I looked at that a little earlier, but I didn't get into detail with it. I mean, look, I really like JP Morgan if you have to buy one. But this is an enormous base, okay, that we've been waiting for the Fed to what, right? They're going to raise rates, and this is what's going to really spur these stocks, and this time they're really going to do it. Are they? That jobless claims data was pretty good. His speech made people get all excited again that they're going to raise rates, right? But at the same time, the indexes and asset classes inflated in value. It's kind of like a second guessing, right? Like that's not really how it works. So I don't know. To me, I think this could easily break out of here and get to 168. But you're looking at 4 or 5 points. You're not looking at the world. You're not really looking at the world there. SPLK. Did I cover that one? I thought I did. SPLK. No, I didn't cover this. In regards to this, look at your levels. 153. You're hanging in there. Here's your 50-day. Here's your 21, and you're wedged in. So until you get above that 21-day, that 153.50, which just happens to be that level, I wouldn't go near this. URNM. Hey, Alberto. So all these names look like they're kind of falling off a cliff. This is not something I'd go near. I'd watch this pretty closely. I would not be going near this, that's for sure. Look at what's happening. You came up here. Forget which one of these I was trading, but I was in one of them and I was batting it around. I did okay. I pulled some money out of it, but that's what happens with these. These are boom and bust cycles. So that's what you're dealing with now. Now you're dealing with the boom right here, and now you're dealing with the bust. And if you really technically look at this, you can see how this is an H and how that H broke right here, right? So that's clearly not something that we want to go near. It's not something I want to go near, that's for sure. So keep that in mind. I would not be a buyer of this. If you're long this, very simply, if I took that level out, Alberto, I'd be gone. I would not be staying in this. This looks like you could easily fall back down to the 65 level before you find any support. CEI. Yeah, I remember this one. Hold on. So, look, I get it. And I'm not saying it's not going to work. Look, I get it. And I understand why people play these, and I'm not saying that they're not going to work. Just for me, it just doesn't seem to make sense. If I do buy them, I buy them and I treat them like an option. You can't trade this and then say, I'm going to sell it if it breaks here. Or it's just not that simple. It's like this one, I'm playing with. I really don't care what it does. I just want to be in there because I do think it's going to break out and go, but it's just bouncing around. It's the same thing. If you want to play them, play them. You want to get super technical, right? Here's your level. right? So we have yet to close above this level, right? This wick didn't close there, didn't close, didn't close, didn't close. So you have a seller up there, and that seller has not gone away yet. So that's what you're looking for. Globe keeps shaping up, right? So this is where I'm at. There's my wedge line. I got right to it and pulled back and formed a doji. So there's not much for me to do here until that fixes itself. Once that fixes itself, this could go, right? If you get above that level and you get above that wedge line, I'm going to be interested, right? And that's pretty much $78 right now. I would be interested there. That's for sure. INMB. So got right to the 21 day and then you pulled back, right? So you can kind of see what you need to see, right? You need to flip that level. That's what you're trying to do. So there's not really much more to say here. I mean, you're looking for it to pull one of these again. And, you know, there's only one way you're going to do that. And that way is pretty simple. You're going to have to get through that. You're going to have to get through that average. And until you get through that average, it's just not going to happen. Affirm, I don't know why I thought I went through this. Affirm, I didn't. So obviously, if you're in the community or you get the free newsletter, you know that we're in at 116. Look, at these levels you came up here, this is not what you want to see. Okay, let me pull this down. Just drop that over here, and let's squeeze this down a little bit. Okay, so this is not what you want to see, Diane. You don't want to see it do what it just did, break out and then gap up, go, close over the open and close at the low of the day. It's not really what you want to see out of an idea. You're really going to have to see how this acts. You know, for me, I'm going to give it some room, and it's why I didn't move the stop up yet. But I still like the trade, but this is not giving me a warm and fuzzy feeling that I need to be buying more of it. I need to wait and watch and see what it does. I rejected here, and I have major resistance here and here. So it's telling me that it might need a little more time. Hey, Isaiah. A Bumble we did. Wolf. Let's do Wolf. So remove that segment line. So Wolf was one that we played around with when it broke out here, and then it just kind of based and did nothing. I mean, I just don't see it as, doing any. It's not doing anything. Like, this is what I'm trying to get to. And I'm still down here basing. And now my 8 is kind of pointing down. The 21's kind of pointing down. Looks like my 8's going to cross to the 21. It actually looks like, if you really get super technical in here and you zoom in on this, it actually looks like that 8-day moving average is resistance. We can't close above it. So I would at least wait for that. P-ton, more downside ahead. I'm holding a put since they were above 100 and you identified the pivot. That's great, SF. Yeah, I mean, that was one that really worked out very well on the short side. I actually think that BNTX has potential to do this. It's not as nasty of a chart as, BNTX, but, there's some stuff there that it looks like it's going to go again. But in regards to that here, look, like if you break that level, that was really our sign, right? This is getting worse. It's not getting better. I do think if you can get to here, I do think that you can get to 80 again fairly quickly. The fact that they decided to come out and start, issuing apparel was a clear indication that they had a problem. You don't sell a $3,000 piece of equipment and then decide you want to sell T-shirts, without understanding that there's some kind of issue. I don't know if you guys remember GoPro or not, but they did something similar where all of a sudden they started selling something very, very cheap versus something very high, and it's not a good look. So it's not something I would be crazy about. Now, that said, you've been straight down every single day, right? You've been straight down every single day. So this is a good time to kind of look at RSI because you're down every single day. And your RSI, this is kind of interesting. Your RSI is not lower than it was here. So you actually have a negative divergence in the RSI, which means that it's probably going lower still. So I think you're okay here. I would not allow this to close above 96 without being out of it. Because you have to realize when this trades up, and it will trade up at some point, it's going to be vicious like this, right? And then you're going to have to decide if you're going to want to hold through that or not. Just like the people here that shorted it up here last time, right? Down, right? Shorted it again here when it hit the 50-day down. I mean, there's 3 trades here on the break of the 50-day. You can see them, right? So that's what you're going to have to decide. But there's eventually this will turn and just go against you. So you just have to keep raising your stop. But it could go to 80. Netflix. So we tried, it failed, we broke even, right? So you broke out here, you ran, and then you didn't follow through. And then you tried again and you failed, okay? This is not where you want to be really careful here. Okay, the last stock that you saw that acted and had this pattern was this. Okay, and this just lured everybody in again, right? Got everybody all excited again. Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You go to these highs, and then they reverse at the high. Sometimes they go a little over or under, then they attempt again and fail. Okay, it's a very specific pattern where you have this huge cup like this, and it's the same exact pattern you have on Netflix right now. Okay, see it? See the cup? See how you're failing up here? Now you're forming a wedge. You're just sitting on this 21 and 8. I would actually argue that you're better off being on the other side of this, thinking that it's going to come down to here. So I'm not sure why this is happening, but that's where you're at. It's not something I'd be chasing. Twitter. All right, so let's look at Twitter. So you broke above your 50-day moving average, and these are all pointing up. Your 8 and your 21, your RSI is pointing up. You could trade up. It's just a question of where you're going. You have some major overhangs here. Forget about all these resistance points. Okay, you have some real problems here. So you're going to have this level up here, right? And if you look back here on your monthly and you go through how long it's been out for, we can actually do this on the weekly, but you have to watch stocks that do this, okay? That go to these levels up here and then reject them, attempt, reject again, right? And I mean, now you can see exactly what I'm looking at, Diane, on a monthly chart. Like that's got to fix itself before I would get involved. Is it good that all this is pointing up? Yes, but I could come up to this line and reject again, and that's only $2-3. So that's not something I'm crazy about. I don't know. I don't know who benefits from that, but there will definitely be particular companies that go up pretty substantially tomorrow on that news. Is there news on Twitter? I didn't read it. I'll take a look. I didn't look at that news. Bitcoin I'll do, and I got asked about Ethereum earlier today, and I'll do that too. Let's do Bitcoin. So this is not really what you want to see, and I'll clean up these levels. Let's just get rid of all the annotations. So this is not really what you want to see. This is an H. You broke your rising channel here. You broke down again, and now you're forming another one. So this is not exciting, right? Like this should not make you feel excited about owning it. The 8's pointing straight down. You're 21. You're 200. You're 50. I mean, clearly you don't have institutional sponsorship. So to me, this means that it's probably heading down, and they seem to be walking this down ever since April, right? They tried to rally here, and everybody got all excited again, and now you're back down to here. So I'm not a buyer of this here. I think that this still has the potential to have a pretty negative day one day. And, that's probably when I would look at it. One day when this thing gets hammered is where I would be on it. This one is more appealing to me just because of the way it's hanging in there. But, and you're respecting your 200-day and you're seeing it build. I think you're seeing more people look at this one than at Bitcoin. And, I'm not going to get into all the nuances, but I like this more. This looks to me more like it has the potential to go up. And I would not be surprised to see start seeing a disparity between cryptocurrencies. It wouldn't surprise me at all. See one move where others don't, that kind of stuff. Let's go here. Wolf, we did. AEHR, we did. DATS, we did. CELH. So you're trying, right? I mean, you are trying. I thought you were going to do it and explode up on Friday. Now, what's interesting is after hours, this actually traded back up to 100 after the option expiration closed and everything. So I thought that was somewhat interesting. You have to see how this plays out, but I think that this could go. This could go still. I don't think it's over. I think it was just these people getting out as we have a wick here. And then when it didn't go, they just got out of it. So this might take a day or two, but I think it's going to go again. So I really do. I think it has that potential. AJD. Yeah, I do. I think that's actually on one of my lists. I do. I think this is setting up. So, actually this was in the top 10. So I believe I put this in the top 10 and it was in there back then. We did well with it then too. Look, I don't think this is done, and I'm not sure of that yet, but here's what I would say. You ran all this way up. You came all the way back down. You haven't had one real green reversal day until today. This was not a great bar. This was not a great bar, right? Now I'm all the way down here and I'm on a major support line and I'm holding it. And my RSI is starting to curl up. So yeah, this could go. I think this could go again. I don't know that, I have all these little levels in here, but realistically, the first one you'd probably get to would be this 8-day moving average. And then you kind of have to see what it does from there. But that's how I look at it. But it could absolutely go. Yeah, a lot of these big tech companies look that way, don't they? It makes you wonder why, right? Like, why does this look like it's going to break that? Right? Like, what other chart looked like this, right? We went through Texas Instruments in the top 10, like that same thing. Like, look at that. Like, there's something going on, and we'll figure it out later, but we'll understand it later, I should say. But look at the volume increasing on Dell. So yeah, this could absolutely go, and you have a whole channel here. So this could really go. And I'm not really sure what the move is. I'm not really sure why. I know people buy Dell computers. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, I'm just very surprised that these stocks are shaping up that way, but they are. That looks good. That could really run. Jordo. Hey, Ro. KPLT. So, yeah, you're expecting that wedge line? Until you're done with that wedge line, there's no reason to take a look at it. Hi, Brett. I like Snap. I posted a chart earlier today on it. This is the issue. If you were wanting to play it, you're down here, you buy it off that wedge line and this little reversal, right? This 821, if you want to play it. Now I pointed this out, and I just be aware of this. Everybody's all giddy and talking about this, but I'm right against a resistance point. I'm right against the upper channel. So if it flips, it could go, it could run. But at this point, you need to see that, right? You need to see that it's going to go and go from there. That's what you need to see. So until you see that, I would not be, a buyer. I would want to see that before I get involved. So that's how I look at it. ZI. ZI I've been watching for some time. This is it on the weekly. You see, I have an inside week. See where the close is? Like, you can't make this stuff up. Look. Okay. The close on this day was 67.85. The close on this day was 67.85. So you can see what's going on there. They're working their way through it. Now, here's that level. Here's where you are. Here's your wedge line. So that's what's going on right there. And until you start cleaning some of this up, you have to be careful, because when we broke out here, it clearly looked like we were going to go, and then it failed. And then you came back down, tested the 21-day, tested it again. So maybe this, that's a dragonfly pattern. Maybe it has bottomed. Maybe it will break this wedge line and go this time. After testing this so many times, maybe it will go. But that's what you're looking for. So, hey, Michelle, Kat. So Caterpillar, you're just looking for it to get through this line. I mean, that's really what you're looking for. This is major resistance, $200. Until you get through that, I would not go near this. See how these are widening? See how this is starting to point down? Like, that doesn't change overnight. This takes time for those to change. So I would strongly wait for that. Yeah, I do, Ro. I think it's a short. I'm definitely looking at it. I want to see how it acts tomorrow. But this is not looking like something that I would not want to be short. Let me put it to you that way. Breaking that 50 days is a big deal. Now, we've broken it a couple times and had no follow through. So you're going to have to give it some room. But to me, this is kind of saying something's going on here. And I don't know what that something is, but we'll see. And we'll go from there. But yeah, I do. I think it's breaking well. GOVE. So you broke this trend line, right? What got me interested in this, and what I thought was interesting about this, was just the sheer volume. The sheer volume on what we saw on the close, like, this is just staggering volume, 25 million shares. And it's one of those things where when you want to see how relative that is, you put it into relative volume, right? And you can just see where that would put you in regards to what else is going on out there. I'm 5 times. The last couple have not really worked. Okay. Maybe this one works. Maybe it doesn't. I'm further off the 200-day. Maybe it works this time. Maybe it doesn't, but it's definitely worth paying attention to. I like it. I think it's going to go this time by the length of the bar and where we closed on the bar. So I think you're going to try and test this again, the $11 range. Yeah, Ro, I think BNTX is breaking. I think there's something going on there. So, and I don't know if it's, I'm not sure if it's sell the news because, they only got the 65 and older crowd for the booster shot. So revenues might be lighter than people think. I'm not sure as to why. Zscaler, I'm watching. Look, let's clean this up a little bit. Okay. And then let's get rid of all the indicators, and I'll show you the issue. So the issue is I rally up to here and gap down, right? So before earnings, after earnings, right? I rally like I'm going to go and I sell down. All I have here are wicks after wick, 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 right? So there's a battle going on here. And I have these 2 huge red bars over here. So for me, it's an avoid until it can get through this. Once I can get through that, once I can get through some of this, I would have an interest. But right now, all I'm seeing is just wicks, and wicks of price rejection. So until that figures itself out, I'm not going to go near it. ARQQ. So here's where you're at, right? I mean, maybe it holds. I'm not so sure. I tried to trade on it. It didn't work. I got stopped out, at break even, but I traded it this day and it didn't hold. And now we have a lower low. I don't see anything that's telling you that you need to be in this right now. Nothing. I would just sit, watch, and wait for now. Was ATER, is that what you're asking, ATER? Yeah, we did that one. I did this one. Which one did you want to say? Just let me know. Just type it in the room again. I'll post it. Planter. So yeah, I mean, look, wick, price rejection, wick, price rejection, inside day. Maybe it goes, maybe it doesn't. Like I'm not convinced that this is going to go this time. I'm really not. I mean, there's certain things that are really shaping up, but there's certain things to me that are just looking like it might not go. So those wicks scare me. The fact that volume is completely dried up, the fact that it's not moving in the same direction at the same magnitude as the indexes as they rally. There's a lot of what ifs there for me now. So I'm not crazy about it. So it could go. Oh, you're welcome, Dan. DBI. Designer brands. I mean, I don't really see a reason to be in this. Like here's your trend line. Look, you should be able to start seeing the more that I do this, you should start being able to see this. So, but this is where you're at, and this is what's going on with it. Okay. Other than that, I wouldn't go near it. It's not something I would go near. Shop. Hey, Emma. So here's your wedge line. I've been watching this one. Here's your wedge line. And here you're rolling, right? Your 50s starting to point down. Your 21. You can't stay above the 8. And this is a big level, this 1500. Look how you just fought here forever. So it's not something I want to go near until it cleans itself up. That whole space that was on fire, if you take a look, right, they're all kind of going sideways now, right? Like these guys were both of these were just monsters the way they were running. And that has since stopped. So I'd be careful there until it shapes itself up, at least over 1500. Hey, Rocky, cost and CRM. So Costco, yeah, I mean, this is definitely shaping up here. Look, let's get rid of this and let's get rid of these indicators. So here's your wedge line, right? You broke it, couldn't close above it, and you're sitting right on it again. If you flip it this time, this is going to really run. Okay, if you flip it this time, this is really going to go. So I like this for a trade. If you look down here, you're starting to see these volume spikes, okay? It's very possible that this could continue this week. Absolutely. I like this name. I think there's possible a trade there. CRM, this is one we were in from the newsletter. I don't know if you get the newsletter or not, Rocky, but everyone has different handles and between the communities and YouTube. It's funny. But anyway, from where you are right here, right? Like here's your trend line. And I was looking at this earlier. I mean, you kind of flipped it. You kind of went over that line at the end of the day. So it's going to be Monday, tomorrow's going to be a very interesting day for this stock. And we'll see how it does. So hopefully it continues to push. And we'll go from there. But I do like it. I absolutely like it. Team. So let's look at team. So, I mean, team, we got stopped out at team, sadly, on the last correction, but it happens. You know, I was not going to wait for it to go down here and lose that much value. I just didn't want to take the chance, frankly. But it's back closing at all-time highs. Look, if you're in this, stay in it. I mean, it's acting exceptionally well. I'm not going to put a new position on up here. You know, I'm going to wait for some kind of day when it comes in and then maybe go watch it base and then build. But I'm not chasing it up here. But it looks like it's going to keep going. It really does. It looks excellent. Do I use PM and after hours data to influence your decisions? Indicators drawn support and resistance lines when day trading less than daily charts. I 100% will use pre-market and aftermarket data if I'm day trading a name. Absolutely. 100%, Tobias, will use that data, especially on smaller cap names. Absolutely, I will. AEHR. Got you. So for this, what I would say to is what you want to watch is you want to watch the top of this, okay? You want to watch the top of this, and you want to make sure that it breaks that. That's what you're looking for. Look, there's not much to say here. Let's look at this for a moment. This was your earnings, okay? It was way better than last time they expected. Then you based for months, right, for the summer. Then you came up with earnings again, and it was way more. So this could be really underappreciated. And I think this has massive potential. But you need to clear this level up here before you even consider buying it. And then it could keep going. But I do like the name. Sophie, I like that name, actually. I'm not a big fan of the company, but, you know, I like what I'm saying. Like, I like the fact that I'm above the 200-day moving average here. And I like how you're above the 1734 level, which was pretty prominent, right? All throughout here. Bonk, bonk, right? Couldn't break it. Closed one day, right before earnings, gap down. So this is kind of setting up again. So it's possible that this gets up to here. It's possible this gets to $21. You know, that's not unrealistic for something like that to happen. So this is building. It broke out. You had this wedge line right under the 200-day in resistance, and now you're above it. So it can go. AMBA. Yeah, this is one that's just been an absolute monster. You know, no one's really talking about it, but look, this was your break line. This 137, let's click off of this. Your break line was 137, and then you just took off. I can't chase things like this now. The time to really buy it was when you broke above this level, right? And then use that and use this flag, and then here's your break of that flag. So you could have used this and then been in it a couple of days, or used the break of the flag to buy it. Now, for me, I'm too overextended. So I'm just waiting for this to come down. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I can't buy it up here. There's just too much risk now. But I think it looks great. If you're in this, stay in it. Like you could see 200 on this very quickly. Look, okay. You have this weekly level. You're trying to break it. You can flip this weekly level right here. And this is why it's so important, and I stress this all the time. You need to look at more than daily charts. You need to look at weekly charts at the end of the week. But if I can flip this very quickly, I'm going to get to $200. So I like the name still. I don't know that it's over yet. Hey, Cobra. OCGN. And does AMC look right? Let's go through. Let's do OCGN and then like AMC. I'm interested. You know, this is kind of hard to even tell you what to do because, hold on, let's do a daily on it. This is kind of hard to tell you to do anything because all you're doing is just spiking and failing over and over again, right? Like if you look at that, it's not really doing anything. Right? Like, let's just look at it for a minute. I mean, all you're doing is getting to that 834 level, 836 level. And then from there, what are you doing? right? You fail. You fail here. You failed here. You fail here. I mean, it's clear what you need to do to be in this, right? You need to be above 836. I can take this off now. You need to be above 836, and we don't need these anymore. We can get rid of those lines. But until I'm above 836, I wouldn't even look at it. Now, when you're in situations like this, one of the things you can do, let's get rid of these lines for a minute so you can kind of get a sense of this. There's two things you can do. One, you can throw volume by price in and go, okay, well, I'm above point of control and I'm above VWAP. All right. Second, you can throw RSI in. Your RSI is flatlining, right? You are just flatlined. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you're probably not going anywhere. So I don't see the sense in getting involved because you're probably not going anywhere. So keep that in mind. Now, with that said, your second question about AMC, and let's get to this, okay? And we're going to go through this. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this. I mean, I sure don't need this. See how the volume's drying up? See how the volume's almost non-existent, right? That's actually a sign. Like when your volume is like just zero and your stock's still up here, that means the people that are in aren't selling anymore. And if they're not selling anymore, all you have are buyers. Now, right? So when you really drill into this, at this level, I mean, this is exactly what you want to see, right? So you're riding that. Now look, now let's throw these back in. Okay. You're riding the 50-day moving average. So does it look like May was your question? Let's go take a look at May. I don't see this happening, but I do see this heading back up to these levels. I don't think this is done. This is a very different looking chart than this. I'll put it to you that way. Very different looking chart. Like this just looks like they're just grinding down and taking all the premium out of the options. And eventually, when this closes below the 50, you're going to watch people pile on the short side of this again. That will happen. So just FYI. And I would do that through puts because they'll probably be easier than. I mean, this is not going to stay up here forever, right? They'll slowly walk you down. That's what will happen with it. But in regards to this, and I don't want to get into valuation, but the economy's opening back up. This company's got $1 billion in cash. They're not going to zero. The stock can bounce around. Obviously, it can come back down to 20, 16, whatever, but they're not going to zero. Now, with that said, riding this wave, I think you could flip here, and I think you can go higher. I think it's very possible. MP. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see much to do here. I've been watching it. I really don't think there's much going on there. I really don't think there's much going on there. I would just avoid it. I mean, until it shapes up, like it's got to do something. Like, look, right? First thing is you have this overhang, right? Then you're going to have this overhang. I should probably draw these so that people can see them instead of me just saying, so you can understand why. So I've been doing this so long, you can actually see them before you even put them in. And then I'm fighting the 50-day, right? And I can throw in more bells and whistles, but it's kind of pointless. We know where they are. I didn't know where the 200 was, but that's not something I would be going near until I flip this level and get over that. Then maybe. So then I can take a look at it. Oh, you're welcome, Alberto. Have a good trading week yourself. So you're welcome. You're welcome. LCID. So I think you got to be really careful here. You're in no man's land. If this wasn't such a crowded short, I'd have a short position on, right? Like you have to think about it this way. See this level right here? This is where the insiders of the company and institutions sold a huge block of stock, right? They didn't sell it there because they thought that it was worth this, right? Now, that's what institutions think. This whole run-up is retail. Okay, that's what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with institutions buying the stock. You're dealing with the retail. Last time you dealt with retail was this. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't get more irrational. Okay, we've seen this, right? So what do you do with this? Well, here's what you have to think about. Forget how I feel about the company, whether or not they are going to be a competitor, not going to be a competitor, if they have a better car than Tesla. It's all irrelevant for our purposes. Okay. All we do is trade. I have a bearish engulfing here, and I'm not breaking down. A matter of fact, I'm not breaking these bars. So you could do this one of two ways, right? If you wanted to be long, I would wait for a higher high, and then you could put the trade on, because you can push through this and get up to these levels again and test this 29. Now, if I broke to the downside of this, it's pretty clear you're going to test this 200-day moving average. So in other words, you're in a spot here where you just really can't make a decision yet, right? If you're long, I would not be closing my long if I didn't close it up here. If you're short, I'd be concerned about being short here because the bearish engulfing did not work so far. So far, I've got dojis, which means I'm fighting in here. So flipping this 2566, I might be able to get back up here. Breaking this, I'd be gone because it means I'm going to go to here. So that's how I would play it. I think that it's silly to think that they're going to do anything that's going to benefit anything but their government. And I think that you just trade accordingly. I mean, I think it's that simple, Anna. It's the easiest way to make money. So is companies share buyback program a good thing? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. That means there's demand for stock. It's a great thing. I just did it. Hopefully you saw it. Square breakout above the 50-day. Let's take a look. So maybe not. I mean, look, there's a couple things here. Let's clean all this up. Okay, let's get rid of these. Here's your bigger issue, Rocky. Okay, here's your major downward lower trend line. Okay, this is your major trend line, right, on this stock, right? All right, let me just do it this way. You clone these because you want the same trajectory. And then what you do is you look to see where they'll fit, okay? And you can see how this one fits right in here. Bonk, 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 right? I'm drawing it crudely, but it's there. Pops out of it, doesn't work. Pops out of it, doesn't work. Tries to get back in. It needs to get back in these lines, okay? So you see that one wedge. Now, let's get rid of this. And we'll get rid of this. And we'll pull this down to here so we're not jaded. And now watch this. Okay? So in other words, I tried to get above and close above the wedge, and I couldn't. Then I opened below the wedge and came down. But I have a hammer. So this is way more important to me than what's going on with this. Because right now I'm just battling these averages, and I don't care about them. I'm not respecting this 21-day. I'm not respecting the 50-day. I'll break it and bounce right back. So that's kind of how I look at it. So it's not something where I would get involved with it. So Affirm I did, CELH I did. Let me know if you saw them, Anna. If not, I'll run through them real quick before we get I wrap it up here. LA, yeah, you're welcome, Rocky. LABU. So let's go here and do LABU. So this has not really been one that's been performing like this, right? So this is what the biotech index is doing, okay? This is what LABU is doing, okay? So that tells you what your issue is, right? So the issue is I would not go near this. Now, I think there's another one, if I can remember it, is it BIB? So if you look at this one, if you're interested in playing these, if you look at this one, this is, I think it's a 2x to the index instead of a 3x, but I think there's different holdings in here. So you're going to have to look at the holdings and compare them. But if I wanted to play the biotech index, this is the one I would play. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't be playing the biotech index here. You know, this can shape up and this can move. I just read some article where they were talking about major M&A activity going into the fourth quarter. It makes a lot of sense. So, hey, Joan, what do you have here? Let's see. TECL. Yeah, I mean, you see your issue? Your issue's right here, right? So I wouldn't. I mean, I broke. I bounced. Right? Where's my 21 day on this? Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't be going near this yet, right? This actually. I mean, if you look at this, okay, this 3x. I mean, here, look at this 3x, and now look at this. I mean, you should see some major similarities here, right? I mean, it's like looking in the mirror. So instead of that one, did you ever look at this? So this trades pretty aggressively, but it's pretty easy to get in and out of. This one, to me, when I try to play with it, it's just thinner. See how like it's trading like a million shares, and I'm sure the makeup's different, and there might be a reason you want to be in that one. See how this is trading like 32 million shares. So it's just, I have liquidity, so I like it a lot more. See, with liquidity comes less volatile moves for no reason, and that's why people like liquidity. So, but Jaron, I don't see that trade as something I need to be in. IS. So, yeah, I mean, you're shaping up for sure. So it's definitely shaping up. Your volume's picking up. You have your little wedge line right here. Break your wedge line, and this could go. I mean, all you have to do is clear this. And where's this line fall in regards to where you are? Yeah, I mean, look, that's pretty important. It's pretty important that you're above that. You tested it. Now this level has become support. So get above this. I don't know if you're in a hurry, but I would wait for it to get above the 1305 and then take a look at it. Oh, you're welcome, buddy. DOCN. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. So any other quick questions, let me know, but I'm going to wrap it up. In regards to it, DOCN. Yeah, I mean, I know people that are looking at this. This was your break. We had these two wedge lines here. We broke it, came back, retested the 8, and then we've just been ripping ever since. You're starting to see cracks. So wick forms a hammer, like it's going to go, breaks down on Friday, right? That's not what you want to say. Rejects the 8-day for the first time. It's not what you want to say. I would hold off until this figures out what it's going to do here. So, you're welcome. MU, I think you have to realize something about MU. So, someone pointed it out in the community, and they're 100% right. Like, you just came out and got DRAM prices. Let's get rid of all this. We'll remove all annotations, and let's click off indicators. They came out and downgraded price on DRAM, and the stock went up. So that lets you know that drop's not as bad as people think. This is when you want to buy it, when it's ugly, but you have to have the patience to stay in it. You don't want to be buying it when it's breaking out. It doesn't work. You want to be buying it when it's ugly and just holding it. I mean, that's how you trade it. I don't know how it does in the earnings. I truly don't. I don't know if you want to own it before then. I mean, you're rolling the dice. I would probably do this with earnings. If I really wanted to be in there for earnings, I would do it with an options play. And you can quantify what your loss is the next day, because I don't know where this is going to wind up going, on earnings. Maybe DRAM is going to be worse than the people think it's going to be. You just don't know. So you just don't know. You're welcome. You're welcome, Swing. Regret not selling it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It got massacred last time, and you don't know how bad it's going to be. Um, Look, you have to pay attention to these lines, D's. Like, these lines are real. Like these lines that I draw, and you should be able to draw, like, try to draw them yourself, but they're real. And when you see this, like, this just sucks, right? Because you go to bed, right? You go to bed and you're here, right? And then and there's no other way to say it, but it just sucks. And then you come in and then you're down 5 points. And you're like, are you joking? But that's the game. And maybe this holds, maybe it doesn't. But this is the level that you were looking for. I wanted follow through. If we had follow through this day, I would have probably been there with you dealing with this. But no, you have to see, watch and wait and see what it does now, Over and over again, it keeps rejecting this area, right? It's been rejecting it since back here. So it's a real area, and it's there, and it's not going away. So it happens. Oh, thanks, Diane. Thanks, Cobra. Yeah, if you're not holding through the run up, it could run up into that. Yes. Do I think people are going to go long and play that into earnings since it's so beaten down? Yes, I do. I see what you're saying. All right, everybody, I am out of here. Have a great evening.